Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jenna and today I will be doing a tag video for you guys. So a really long time ago, Mary from Happily Ever Esch tagged me in the spring reading tag. It was several weeks ago, but I absolutely love this tag and I'm just gonna do it. Even though spring doesn't really exist here in Florida, we just kind of go from winter straight on to summer, just gradually getting blisteringly, is that a word? Sure. Just super hot right from like kind of cool. So anyway, spring doesn't really exist around here, but I'm doing the spring reading tag anyway because I love the questions in this tag. So let's just get started. Question number 1 asks, what books are you most excited to read over the next few months? And the first book that I am most excited to read over the next few months is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I have never actually read this before, I am ashamed to say, but it is actually a reading goal of mine to finish this by the end of the summer. So yes, and I am absolutely in love with this edition. It's super floppy and super cute. The next book that I'm excited to get to, it's actually going to be a little while. We'll see if I can actually wait this long because Krista over at Books and Jams has a Goodreads read-along group. And our book for August, I think it was August, we decided on Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And I really would like to read this along with the rest of the group, but for some reason I have been like itching to read this super soon. So we'll see if I can actually wait to read along with the rest of the group in August. If I end up reading it ahead of time, I'll just continue on with the discussion later, but definitely want to get to this definitely this year. The next book that I'm excited to read, we're actually reading it in the read-along group in June, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. Wanting to read a lot of classics recently. What is with me? That's not really normal for me. Anyway, I'm excited to read this one. I don't know too much about it. I watched the Netflix miniseries a while ago, and I just remember liking it, but not really any details about it. So I'm excited to get to this because I've been wanting to read that, and then a couple of people have been wanting to buddy read it with me too, and I've gotten them into the read-along group, so we'll see how it all goes. And then the last book that I would love to get to soon is my very first book of the month book that I got for the month of May. I don't know if I'm going to continue my subscription or not. I just wanted to see what it was like to choose a book from the options that they give you. But the book that I chose for May was Since We Fell by Dennis Lehane. It's actually pretty long. How many pages is this? Okay, so it's a little bit over 400, which I feel like is a lot for a thriller. It's supposed to be kind of like a mystery thriller. So, but I've heard good things about this author and this book on Goodreads. So, and the cover is absolutely stunning. I love the colors. It's just so bright on my shelf. So looking forward to that. Question number 2, what book makes you think of spring the most for whatever reason? And I'm going with 2 books. The first one is Mandy by Julie Edwards. And this book is about a little orphan girl named Mandy who discovers a cottage in the woods, and she plants a bunch of flowers and really just makes it her own little home when she doesn't actually have one, since she lives at an orphanage. And it's just a heartwarming story, and it definitely makes me think of spring. I'm not sure where my copy of it is right now, but this cover is the edition that I own, and it just is so springy and so cute. And then the other book that reminds me of spring is The Girl Who Chased the Moon by Sarah Addison Allen. I read this a little while ago, I think maybe like 2 years ago. I just absolutely loved it. It's very whimsical. She has just a lot of magical realism elements in her stories, and this book in particular just reminds me of spring. I don't even think it's set in spring, but it just reminds me of spring, the way that she writes. Question number 3, the days are getting longer. What is the longest book that you've read? So my original answer for this question was going to be Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix because it's like pushing 900 pages. However, I then thought of, not surprisingly, The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, a lot of people think that this is a trilogy, and it is and it isn't. It is actually meant to be all one book. So if I'm being technical here, which I am, This book, let me see, minus the appendices and all that, it's like, what is it? It's almost 1,100 pages. So I am counting this as the longest book that I've ever read because I read all 3 books one after the other. So I'm definitely counting this one as the longest book that I've ever read. Question number 4. What books would you recommend to brighten someone's day? The first one would be Wonder by R.J. I can't remember. Palacio. This tells the story of a middle schooler named Augie or August who is born with a facial deformity, and he's really nervous about going to school for the first time after being homeschooled for the first 10 years of his life. So it's a heartwarming story about friendship and just being accepted and being yourself unapologetically, and just the real meaning of friendship. I absolutely love this one. There were some sad moments in it, but overall it was definitely heartwarming and it will brighten your day. Another book that I think will brighten everyone's day I have right here, and that is The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. I think this will especially brighten your day if you love books. This is about a librarian named Nina who gets laid off from her job and who starts a mobile bookstore in Scotland. So if you love like the Scottish atmosphere and you love books about books, I highly recommend this one. It's definitely chick lit. I don't think it's going to change anybody's life in any way, but I read this right after or trying to get out of a reading slump earlier this year, and it definitely helped with that because it was super easy to read and it really did brighten my day. And then the last book that I think will brighten your day is a middle grade novel, and it is called The Wedding Planner's Daughter by Colleen Parator, I think. I'm blanking on her last name. I'll put it down here if I get it wrong. But this is about a little girl named Willa who is the daughter of a wedding planner. Her mom plans weddings and she has her own business, and it's just absolutely adorable. I read it in one sitting a few years ago, and it's one of those books that if I ever have a daughter, I am going to get for her to read if she's interested in it, because it's just so, so cute. There are several books in the series that follow Willa as she grows up, but they're just not as good. The first one is just magical and super, super sweet. Question number 5. Spring brings new life in nature. Think up a book that doesn't exist but you wish that it did. And I had a hard time deciding because I feel like I have a lot of books that I wish existed, but I finally decided on my perfect Beauty and the Beast retelling. I've read a lot of Beauty and the Beast retellings, and some of them have been pretty good. Like for instance, A Court of Thorns and Roses. That was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was definitely different towards the end, if you know what I mean. But it just still wasn't perfect. I am looking for the perfect Beauty and the Beast retelling, and part of me thinks that I'm just never going to find it because my perfect Beauty and the Beast is the 1991 Disney animated movie. That is the perfect Beauty and the Beast because it just is. But I'm still interested in finding like that perfect retelling that I can read as a physical book. So if you know any good Beauty and the Beast retellings, if you read one, eventually let me know because I will read all of them until I find that perfect one. I think the closest one that I've found is Beauty by Robin McKinley. I think it was by Robin McKinley. I remember really liking that one. It still wasn't perfect. Like I have this gut feeling when it's gonna be perfect. I don't know. So let me know if you have any suggestions for that. Number 6, spring is also a time for growth. How has your reading changed over the years? So to keep this answer short, I think I've mentioned this on my channel before, but when I was a kid, I was very, very picky about what books that I chose to read. I loved reading. It was probably my favorite thing to do in my spare time. But I was really picky. When I went to the library or the bookstore, I would scour the shelves and just be like, no, 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 maybe. And I just would look at the cover. I would judge a book by its cover, like super bad. And I was just really picky. I just knew if I wasn't going to like a book or not. And I still am kind of picky, but honestly, as I've grown and just broaden my horizons a little bit, and really ever since BookTube, it's really helped me just to broaden my horizons. I've discovered so many new authors and books that I never would have picked up before, but because of BookTube, I'm just way more open-minded. So that's the short answer to that question. And then the last question is number 7. We're a couple of months, we're kind of late now, but we're 5 months into the new year. How's your reading going? So as of right now, I am halfway through my Goodreads reading challenge for the year. I've read 25 books and my goal is 50. So I'm doing pretty good. And according to Goodreads, I'm 6 books ahead of schedule. So pretty proud of myself. And the books that I've read this year, it's been pretty good. I don't know what it is. Emily from Possibly Literate, I think she and I are kind of in the same boat right now, because she mentioned recently that she feels like she might be giving out too many 5-star ratings, but then she realized that it's because she's kind of cherry picking from all these different genres, and she just happens to be picking like the best of the best. So I feel like I kind of relate to that, because earlier in the year I was like, oh, am I giving out too many 4 stars, too many 5 stars? Am I being too lenient? Whatever, doesn't really matter, but these are the thoughts that I have. But I think I can relate to what she meant, because I feel like I've just been picking up really good books. I don't know. It just happens. So those are all of the questions for the spring reading tag. Thank you so much to Mary for tagging me. I am not going to tag anybody officially because I'm pretty late to the game, I feel like, when it comes to this tag, especially since it's not really spring here. It's already pretty much summer, whatever. So I'm not going to tag anybody, but if you have not done this tag and you want to, boom, I tag you. So you can say that I tagged you. I really don't care. But I hope you guys are having a lovely day, and I will see you guys very soon with another bookish video. Bye.